Leon Edwards shocked the world at UFC 278 to dethrone Kamaru Usman, one of the most dominant welterweight champions in history. And following the fight, many UFC fighters have had their say on the manner of Edwards' victory. A head kick knockout from hell, which laid the Nigerian Nightmare out. Today, we're discussing former light heavyweight and heavyweight king Daniel Cormier's comments regarding the greatest head kick KO, so stay right where you are. Let's dive straight in then. What has Cormier had to say? Following his recent UFC 278 win over Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards' head kick KO has been hailed as the greatest head kick KO by former champ and current commentator Daniel Cormier. The Englishman beat Usman in a rerun of their 2015 fight, having knocked the champ out after trailing for the majority of the fight. And given the amazing comeback win, Cormier could just have a point. He said, "I can honestly say, and so did my broadcast partners, we all agree, this was the greatest head kick knockout that we've seen in the UFC, especially because of the circumstances," which could have people like Donald Cerrone and Valentina Shevchenko scratching their heads. Of course, Cerrone knocked out Matt Brown via head kick, and Shevchenko did the same to Jessica Ai. But both these fighters were arguably winning their fights at the time. And Cormier, who was speaking on his YouTube channel shortly after the fight, went on to say, "Leon Edwards was down. He was losing to Kamaru Usman, he was down 3 rounds to 1, and he was going to lose the 5th. But he found the perfect head kick to make him the champion." In the build-up to the head kick KO, the commentary team were discussing how Edwards could probably claim the moral victory and had even discussed his obituary. But the Englishman had something to say about that, delivering a knockout which will reverberate around the welterweight division for years. What else did DC have to say then? Stay tuned to find out. Well, Cormier spoke of how they had completely written Edwards off and offered an apology to the new champ. He also suggested that he doesn't feel bad about what he said due to how the fight was going, before going on to say, "Keep in mind, Kamaru Usman was up 3-4 rounds to 1. We have to remember that, but just a great night overall, and what I do believe was the greatest head kick knockout in UFC history. Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm was great, but nothing has matched this." Cormier then suggested that the manner of the victory was the reason why he was calling it the best ever head kick KO. Even if there might have been a few that were technically better, DC again went on to congratulate Rocky, who now hasn't lost in almost 7 years. The likelihood is that the pair will now fight for a 3rd time, given Usman's previous dominance of the division, but Cormier questioned what the knockout will mean for the Nigerian Nightmare. He suggested that as someone who had never felt what it was like to be knocked out before, this result might adversely affect him now he knows that he is actually human. DC claimed that if you've never been knocked out, you're more willing to try things you wouldn't dream of after you know you can be finished, saying, "I wonder how that's going to affect him going forward." What do you guys think? So, what did the former champ have to say about the potential trilogy fight? Let's discuss. Of course, given how the fight was going before Edwards delivered his epic head kick, Usman will more than likely come into a trilogy fight as a favorite, even if he isn't champion anymore, and this is exactly what Cormier alluded to following the fight. While suggesting that Kamaru was cruising, DC also said he was bringing the pressure to Edwards, even suggesting that he was bullying him. Edwards' coaches had echoed these words between rounds, and Cormier revealed how the 1-2 before the head kick was thrown simply for Usman to put his hands up so that the new champ could land the head kick, going on to say, "It was perfect." Later on in the locker room, Edwards was recorded on the phone to his mother, and DC suggested that this human side to the new champ will make people want to root for him, saying he's on the phone with his mom, crying, talking about how their life is going to change. This felt like a movie. The UFC staff played the Rocky theme after the fight, and during the Rocky theme, Leon is in the cage celebrating with the belt, and the crowd is yelling, "Rocky, Rocky." It was a movie. Who do you guys have if and when the 3rd fight between the pair rolls around? Give us your thoughts below. Next up, Chael Sonnen has had his say, rather unsurprisingly. Sonnen is never one to shy away from controversial opinion and has accused Edwards of cheating in his title win over Usman. Even though he provided one of the greatest comeback wins in UFC title fight history, Sonnen has called the newly crowned champ out for grabbing the fence multiple times during the fight, saying, "There's a lot more in Edwards versus Usman, and nobody spoke of it. Leon cheated in that match a whole bunch of times. That is not a headline or a topic that is out there anywhere." I mean, strictly speaking, grabbing onto the cage is illegal in the octagon, but almost every fighter in the promotion has more than likely done the same thing at one point or another during their careers. Sonnen then claimed he isn't giving Leon a hard time, but his words would suggest otherwise. He also claimed that the referee even saw what he was doing multiple times, but ultimately didn't do anything. And, while the victory went to Leon, Chael believes that his cheating throughout the fight added to the result. He then suggested that it was strong to use that particular word, but then asked, "But what other word do you want me to use?" What do you guys make of Sonnen's comments, and do you think Usman should be credited for not calling Edwards out for cheating, as Sonnen claims? Let us know your thoughts below. So what was behind Usman's loss? Stay tuned to find out. Kamaru Usman has had had to deal with suggestions he has turned Hollywood in recent months, given the fact that it has recently been revealed he will make an appearance in the upcoming Black Panther sequel. However, Usman himself denied that was the case, but since his knockout loss, he has had to deal with even more scrutiny. Before the fight took place, Usman addressed these claims during the media day, saying, "I was in a movie and everyone says he Hollywood now," which is generally the definition of turning Hollywood. He went on to claim that during his college years and early years fighting, he would live off $5 pizza for 2 days and also ate ramen noodles for a whole week. He revealed that he had been dreaming for years of getting to a point where he didn't have to do that. However, some critics have suggested that this simply means he's taken his eye off the ball. Whilst he has been filming movies, Leon Edwards has been in the gym drilling right-left head kick combinations, which just happened to pay off last week. Usman went on to say that he wants to be bigger than Dwayne Johnson, but for that to happen, he would almost certainly be kissing goodbye to any more UFC titles. What do you guys make of the criticism and Usman's response? And finally, DC has claimed Khamzat Chimaev is the biggest loser from UFC 278. Dana White suggested that Khamzat would get a title shot with a win over Nate Diaz next month, but that no longer looks to be the case given Leon Edwards' incredible win over Kamaru Usman. The Chechen will now more than likely have to take a back seat while Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman dance for a third time, with Cormier labeling the welterweight prospect the biggest loser from the evening. Speaking on his YouTube channel after the fight, the former champ said, "I think last weekend he did not understand that he was the biggest loser in the Usman vs. Leon situation because he was in line. All he had to do was get past Diaz. You fight for the championship, but with Leon Edwards winning now we've got a trilogy, and rightfully so." And whilst he's almost certainly correct, Chimaev will probably now be looking for another opponent should he get past Diaz. Some have suggested he could face Colby Covington in what would be an absolute barn burner, which probably wouldn't be the worst outcome if we're completely honest. What would you guys think about a potential Chimaev vs. Covington bout? Let us know below. As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to swing by again next time for some more fun reveals. And why not do us a big favor by liking and sharing today's video with any UFC fan friends you might have lurking on those socials. Bye guys.